Okay, we are live, family. Um, hopefully, everyone can hear me clearly. Press one in the chat there if everyone can hear me there. Mic check, mic check. Just want to make sure I can be heard. It's been a while. Everything loud and clear. Put a one in the chat, please. Okay, there we go. Peace there, Roro Amani, Empress. Danny Boy one. Thanks, bro. So we will start out with a little classic song here first. Um, Well, that was a classic there. Remember those days? I guess you youngsters, you missed that good music there. Yeah. Welcome, PG. Hopefully, I welcomed everyone there. I know it's been almost 2 months since I've went live here since I've given a presentation on YouTube. Just been very, very busy there, family. So my apologies for that. So I will try to at least do at least a minimum one per month, hopefully maybe more. But usually, it comes to me. The ancestors bring me information, and present this information to the family, or further expand on information I presented before. So it's divine energy, and whenever that divine power hits me and tells me to gives me the mandate to share information, that's when I usually do it, family. So um, yeah, and I also want to mention here, I was hacked a while back. So hacker got into my Facebook and then my Messenger account. They just took that over. Oh, you can hear me. Oh, well, the music's finished, Clarence. Clarence wants some more of that Parliament, huh? You want some more of that, huh? Yeah. So, well, you know, you usually I get marks. They're gonna tag my. They won't strike me, but they'll tag me for playing. You know, um, what they call it. Copyrighted music. Yeah. So I don't want to go crazy there. But next presentation, if you like that Parliament, I'll play another classic from Parliament there. Yeah. So they took over my Messenger account, family. I was it was my fault. Got didn't pay attention to the details. Thought it was someone in distress that I was trying to help out, and lost it. So I was warned in the beginning not to even deal with a Facebook account, and now I understand why. So I apologized if anyone. That what the hacker did, they reached out to everyone, most of the people in my Messenger address book, trying to get their information as well. So hopefully, you guys shouldn't have any problems with that. Someone pretending to be me, right? So no longer will I use that Facebook or Messenger. So I just wanted to, let the family know that, and I apologize if anyone was affected by that. Um, I tried to reach out to everyone in my address book via email to warn them about that. So hopefully, you were not affected. So basically, today I'm just going to, the title is "You Can't Handle the Truth," and I've been, I keep my ears, on the YouTube streets and other platforms as well. And I've been hearing some things, and it looks like a lot of people still do not have certain clarity on a lot of our illustrious individuals from the past. And I just wanted to kind of introduce a few, and then reintroduce um, you know information about an individual that I used in a presentation before. Others have talked about him. And if you look at my thumbnail, that thumbnail is Captain Paul Slocum, give him his respect, aka Captain Paul Cuffe. And that's a real actual image of him, created by an artist in 1812. Okay. Now, if you zoom in close to that thumbnail, you can see his hair texture. You see that he has curly hair. But that was created in 1812 for Captain Paul Slocum, aka Captain Paul Cuffe. And so I will end up towards the end of the presentation. Oh, they changed my picture. They did? Wait a minute. Clarence said they changed my thumbnail? Change my thumbnail. Wait a second. Let's see. Who changed my thumbnail? No, it's the same thumbnail there. Just a little very dark image of a face. You see his curled hair. Yeah, they didn't change it, Clarence. I'm not talking about my thumbnail. I'm talking about the thumbnail for the presentation. So we will end the presentation on him. There's some. Now I kind of did a brief overview of a lot of his travels and voyages and some of his business transactions, and we will get into a little bit more detail about that, so we get a very clear picture. Oh no, I'm not showing it, DJ. I was just talking about the thumbnail there. I'm not showing it yet. So I'll be sharing the screen shortly here. Matter of fact, let me share my screen here now so we can get started. Thanks for reminding me there, DJ. Let's see, share screen. Share screen here. There we go. Okay, click on that. Okay, we are sharing. All right. So, and usually, and again, because I've been hearing a lot of this, people reintroducing or keep focusing on the fiction of the slave fiction, which I like to call Operation Alex Haley, right? The Operation Alex Haley motif. So that's a very popular motif that everyone uses. So and so basically think of it as like a curse, family. They like to curse our ancestors and other illustrious individuals who did incredible things. They like to curse them with that slave motif there. But of course, we're wise enough to look through that and break that spell, because as we know, based upon their own fiction and their script, that a slave could not own land, could own any kind of property, did not have freedom of movement, could not freely transverse state to state, right? Based upon the fiction and their story. So, but we see these individuals in the past, and for the most part, they have more land than we currently have. They accomplished more than we are currently accomplishing now, but yet they want to curse them with that slave Alex Haley motif there, right? Operation Alex Haley. So let's I'm going to introduce this first individual here, family. I don't know if you heard of him, but many may have. Let's first start with this here. Mr. Henry Bibb. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's important. And so first I'm just going to start here with this is the 1850 census, okay, 1850. And we see here free inhabitants in the district city of Detroit, county of Wayne, Detroit, okay, state of Michigan, enumerated on the 18th day of September, 1850. Free inhabitants, family, okay? But of course, when you Google Henry Bibb, they're going to curse him with the, Operation Alex Haley, slave curse, right? But we know better. So we go down here to where he's located. We see this right here. Let me zoom in a little bit more so the family can see. Okay, so right here we see Henry Bibb, okay? And this is 1850. So he's approximately 35 years old at that time. So he's born right around 1815-ish, right around there. And his wife, Mary, and she's 30. Okay, right there. Head of household, Mr. Bibb. Now, look at this, what they have for us. This is our occupation, a laborer. Now, that's interesting, right? And yes, he is from Kentucky. And that's it. I'll give a lot of information, right? We know that he was a free inhabitant in 1850s Wayne County, Michigan, and he's married, okay? But laborer, it's a very general term there, right? Now, of course, when we go to just do a simple search on Henry Bibb, right? We go Henry Bibb bio. And here we go. We get this here, right? We get this. So you see him here, his brother there. See that? Born 1815, died 1854, very young. Okay, right? And now his father was Senator James Bibb. Okay, and of course, James Bibb's, I believe it was his brother or uncle George Bibb, another senator in the state of Kentucky. So he's from an illustrious background. Okay, but we get the same curved story about him. But I wanted to now we see this go back to the census. Okay, so he's a laborer in 1850 up in Michigan. Okay, well, is that true or not? Well, let's see. Let me share with the family what he really did, his major job. Okay, here's the link here. Family, he was a newspaper mogul. He owned his own newspaper. So it was called the Voice of the Fugitive. Okay, and this is this newspaper. Henry Bibb, editor, and he's the owner editor, right? And this is the year January 1st, 1851, right? He owned his own newspaper, family. And the newspaper was mainly distributed up in Canada. He spent a lot of time up in Canada as well. And, but yeah, so he owned, of course, major landlord from an illustrious family. Father was a senator, uncles senators. Now, when we go to archives, do a search on the archives here, family. We'll go in Henry Bibb. So many of and this is how you track down and search your ancestors through genealogy, family, to see things, but you can't go in with that, Operation Alex Haley mindset, because you will not be blessed. Your ancestors will communicate with you and allow you to find them, right? But you need to have that clear mind where you're not mentally in that, that slave mind there. If you're looking for a slave, you're never going to find it. You won't really be able to break through walls with your genealogical search. Okay. Okay. See, so again, family. Let's see here. Okay, no, this is a different guy. This is not him. This is a different guy. This is not him here. Okay, let's go further down. Let's see. And see, a lot of these people are ghosts. I'm not going to really find a lot of information because they counter the fiction. They rub up against the fiction, right? And they want to protect that, right? Because he's born, around in the 18 teens, but he died young in 1854. But they tell you your ancestors were, suffering from chattel slavery, and then with the 1865 after the Civil War, they thought they were free, but then hit by Jim Crow laws, right? But this particular guy, who owned all these businesses, owned his own newspaper, all this before the 1850s, exposes their fiction. So you're not going to be able to find a lot on him with genealogy there, right? So, what are we going to see? We try ancestry. Right, we go Henry Bibb, 1815, Kentucky. Right. He lived in Michigan. Put that in there. He lived in Michigan. All right. Here we go, mail. And then let's hit search. Okay, so yeah, the 1850 census, which I just showed everyone here. Now here we have grave index. Okay, yeah, so this is the grave index of him. So born May 10th, 1815, Shelby County, Kentucky. Death date August 1st, 1854. Death place Ontario, Canada. Okay, and he's buried in the Windsor, Essex County, Ontario. There. So, and of course, his newspaper was a Canadian newspaper there, right? That he, the founder and editor of. So, I don't know if there are any Bibbs, anyone, any of his family related to any Bibbs. But this, now when you go deep on his genealogy, I did go pretty deep on it, but we're not going to get into that now. And he has say that he was maybe one of those North Aboriginal Indian nations up there, his lineage. But yeah, this is an important, illustrious individual. The Bibb line. Now, of course, when you look up images of his father, they're going to give you the pale washed images, right? So, but we, of course, break that spell because that's what they did with everyone, pale washed them. But we know better. But I just wanted to introduce this illustrious individual, Henry Bibb, to the family there. And again, this connects to our genealogical research. Sometimes you're going to have illustrious ancestors, and it will be kind of difficult, but you'll be able to break through those walls, with the guidance of your ancestor there that you're searching for, right? And of course, here it looks like this is his will. Yeah, this is his will, last will and testament, right? With his assets. We don't have to get into that now. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of introduce this particular Bibb family individual there to kind of counter and show you how there's the fictitious world where think of it as a script. We, unfortunately, when our ancestors went through a reset, nearly, in the early 1900s, and then their children and grandchildren left the farms and went into these cities to get jobs. That was the reset. So, but entering into that particular jurisdiction is almost like we can use an analogy of us entering into that jurisdiction. Think of it as 20th Century Fox Studios, where they gave us a script. Oh, this is your character. You're black, you're Negro, and now it's African American, the name of the character. This is who you are. This is your history. This is the role you will play. Unfortunately, many of our parents and grandparents agreed to that contract. And here we are, been living in this fictitious Hollywood movie ever since our ancestors went through that reset. But we can get back to that particular jurisdiction that's connected to our ancestors, which is in the form of claiming ancestral lands, etc. Right? So we're going to move on to another individual. Now, this is a very interesting case, and this comes out of California. And what they're doing in California, you heard about the alleged what's HR, what is it, HR 40, the reparations bill that was created in the 80s, and they're still dangling that carrot, right? So let's get to this particular individual, Edward Hatton. Okay, Edward Hatton. So let's go here. Let's go back here. Edward Hatton. Okay, right here. All right, let's pull this article up here. All right. So here's the article, family, and it's from the reparations report out of California. Okay. Now California. Here's the title: California's earliest. Let's quote it exactly. Black settlers bought land only for it to be stolen. Their descendants want it back. Okay. So here to the right is the illustrious Edward Hatton from the Hatton family. Now, he's originally from Virginia, born around, I believe it was 1810, right around there. And he moved to California right during, again, you notice right during our gold rush, um, all those early miners, gold miners, for some reason, they tend to be melanated. Now, remember when I presented William Leadersdorf, okay, the brother that was granted 35,000 acres of patented land in present day Sacramento. That was his land, and parts of San Francisco, Silicon Valley. 35,000 acres, family. An early Spanish land grant, right? So, but this is Edward Hatton. Now, this is she's one of the descendants, okay, present day descendants. And this story is a very fresh new story. So her name is Yolanda Tyloo Owens, and she unearthed her ancestors' history by researching her family tree. But one evening, quietly sitting at the front of her bed in her home in Sacramento, California, an idea flashed in her mind. And she said her ancestors spoke to her, right? And then we go here. She got on her laptop, and within minutes, she found 4 deeds in his name, land he owned. Now, listen to this, family. Where was he at? It was just not any land. It was Napa Valley, California. Of course, Napa Valley is famous, one a very wealthy area, well known for the wine industry. Her ancestor had land in Napa Valley, family, way before any of these current Johnny Come Lately people ever came this far west of the Mississippi. So, um, 3 of the deeds showed her ancestor Edward Hatton owned prime real estate on Main Street in downtown Napa. And then another deed covered 209 acres in the nearby mountains. Okay. Um, so here the article says Owen's discovery, both that her ancestor owned land and that it was most likely taken away. Now we don't have any evidence of that. As a matter of fact, further along the article, we're going to uncover that he never sold it, never alienated the land, and it was never bought legally. So, highlights one component of the state's effort to consider paying reparations to Black Californians. Now, you see, her reparations she has real reparations to get back her ancestral land, right? So, let's continue. Okay, then they come with the same old Hollywood fictitious story. California's founding involved the often violent acquisition of theft of land from native people, right? But you notice when it comes to these times, all the individuals owning the land were melanated. Where are these native people they're talking about, right? So and then of course here they come with the Operation Alex Haley motif: enslave Africans to work and dig for gold. So now Africans were working and digging for gold, right? So we're not going to even go over this crap. Um, so let's get to here, this part of the article. So it says here the stolen land could be worth millions, and the family's efforts to reacquire it as the rightful heirs are steadfast. They view getting the land not only as a chance to earn financial compensation, but also as a matter of principle. The reversion of stolen land is likely to be one of many recommendations the California Reparations Task Force will make. See again, this is always a mistake. You can't, if she has the actual deed evidence that her ancestor owned it and never sold it, she can initiate her own claim, right? You need to wait on some California Reparations task force, right? So let's see here. And she says here, the bottom line's clear. Their ancestors' land was unjustly taken from them, and they want it back. And the Hatton family, Napa. So Edward Hatton migrated from Norfolk, Virginia, to Napa in the mid 1850s. Now hold on. Okay. So I have here the 1860 census right here. Let's pull this up. 1860 census. Okay, free inhabitants, where? Napa Township in the county of Napa, state, California, enumerated by me on the 30th day of July, 1860. Okay, now, of course, remember he was born around 1810 and he moved in Norfolk, Virginia, and he moved to California. Freedom of movement. He's a free inhabitant. All right. So now on here, let's go to where he's listed. Okay, right here. Okay. So we see Ed, for Edward Hatton. He's 44 in 1860. Look at this here, family. For his occupation, they say he's a barber. Okay. Now he had assets. We go up at the top. Let's see what it says here at the top. Okay, real estate. Real estate's first, personal estate second. See that? Value of real estate, value of personal estate. So real estate is first. Go back down here, family. The real estate category here. And what does it say? $3,000 of real estate. Now on this page, looks like he has, here's another individual. Now look at this. This individual here, R.D. Hopkins, say he's a lawyer, but he has $2,000 in real estate. But our guy Hatton has more than the lawyer, more valuable real estate than the lawyer. And he has the most valuable real estate on the page. Okay? Now, $3,000. Now, let's do something real quick. Get a little bit more deeper here. Go to our calculator. Go to our calculator. So we type in here, it's an inflation calculator. We put in $3,000 in the year 1860. Calculate. Okay, family, let's give us some perspective. When Mr. Hatton's real estate value in 1860, which was valued at $3,000, in today's terms, we're talking about $110,490. But yet, they want you to believe that this individual was suffering as a slave, had some kind of connection as a slave family. $110,490 in 1860. Now, of course, he bought the land way before that. And his land was, he had more valuable real estate than a lawyer listed on that census record. You see, when you step out of their fiction into the real world, you can see, then you can see the forest for the trees. You can see everything clearly now. That's when you break the spell and you come out into reality. $110,490. How many of anyone right now today in 2023 can pop $110,000, $110,490 on the table to get some real estate right now? All right, so let's go back here. Okay, so we have this here. Let's go back to the article. Go back to the article. Right. Okay. Now, he became a 49er, a gold miner. He was a gold miner, family, which explains why he has the most valuable real estate on that census page, more than the lawyer. Let's continue. His son Joseph and grandson Edward followed suit and earned their places as respected. Now they like to use this term, brothers in Northern California. Now let's listen to this. The eldest Hatton, so his eldest son Joseph Hatton, became I'll quote their quote unquote the first black barber in Napa and a gold mine owner. Let's repeat that, which means if his son Joseph owned the gold mine, most likely it came from his father, Edward. He inherited it because his father was what does it say here? A gold miner, which means he probably most likely had his own gold mine and he was mining gold. And his son Edward inherited that said gold mine, and he's listed here as the owner of that gold mine and a barber in Napa Valley. So if he's a barber in Napa family, whose hair you think he's cutting? So obviously, if he's going to open up a barber shop, that means there's a demand. Who do you think? What type of people? What type of hair will he be cutting, family? Williams Leadersdorf, 35,000 acres of patented land in the 1830s. We got the other family, Rufus family there, also in that area, El Dorado, California, looking another gold miner. Obviously, there was enough demand of other melanated people, specifically brothers, to where they needed haircuts, and he took advantage, tapped into that market, opened up a barbershop while he's collecting money from his gold mine. Sounds like some dude whose parents came from West Africa. Because if that was the case, you best believe those West Africans would once one make it. Who do you think they're bringing over? Could be a whole lot of Africans over there. Gold miner. Let's continue. Owens found documents that indicated Hatton, her ancestor, owned 3 lots in downtown Napa where a park and September 11th memorial now rests. So there's a park now in a place where her ancestors' land was located. So now it's a park. And she acquired the papers from the Napa County Clerk's office for the lots downtown that show the land remains in Edward Hatton's name. He never alienated the land. They never sold it. It's still in his name. And there she is. And it says here it has not been bought or sold. Napa officials did not find any other deeds on the property. Now, let's look at this here. Check this out. So, as for the large piece of land in the outskirts of Napa, remember he had land downtown Napa and also in the outskirts. Owen said that Hatton bought the 209 acres for $1,500 in February 1885. All right, well, let's go back to our calculator. 1,500, 1885, $1,500, year 1885. 85. See how much that's worth now. $47,271. $47,271 for how many acres was that? 209 acres, family. Not a bad deal in 1885, but to have $47,000 in 1885, you had to be a high roller. Best believe it. And it says here, according to research from various documents and news clippings, white people wanted the land. And in 1893, a white woman claimed the Hattons had defaulted on a $400 payment. The land was later put up for auction at a court hearing at which the Hattons were not present. The woman bought it and then sold it to the county treasurer at the price she had paid for it. And that's when you go right down the whole theft of the land and fraudulent and the lies and the cheating and how these Johnny come ladies came in, right? But remember the important thing, her ancestor never sold it. So she can definitely lay a claim, take the active approach and lay a claim for her land there. Yeah, and look at that. So that's the area she's sitting right there on her father's land there near the mountains. Look at that. Look at the pristine beauty there, family. So this is how our ancestors were living. Yeah. So so I wanted to introduce that. So anybody wants a copy of this article, link, as always, email me after the presentation's over. Right. So we're going to move to the image of our thumbnail, family, Captain Paul Slocum, aka Captain Paul Cuffe. Now, I presented a lot of information there about him, and shout outs to all the other brothers that did presentations on Cuffe. We know that Paul Cuffe, Top Cat did a little deal on him, and I believe, not sure, but I believe that Mayo may have did something on him there. But let's now remember, what did I show last time? If you go back to my old presentations, I actually showed his father's Cuffe Slocums, who, when you look at the father Cuffe Slocum, they tell you he's, again, they put the curse on him, that slave curse. But I presented his last will and testament of Cuffe Slocum, major landlord, right? Where he bequeathed land to his sons, including Captain Paul Slocum, aka Captain Paul Cuffe, who inherited land from his father. His brother did, his sister did. His father also had a plantation land down in present-day Rhode Island. All kinds of land, major landlord. And this is Captain Paul Cuffe's father we're talking about. Father family. I also showed the father's marriage certificate with his wife, who was a Wampanoag Aboriginal or Indian. Okay? Same was Captain Paul Slocum's wife, also Wampanoag. Now, which means maybe that Paul Cuffe and his father were also Wampanoag. Right? That's what the evidence points to. Part of that, right, long lineage there. So, and then I also showed an article where Paul Cuffe was recruited to help not set up, but they recruited him to do certain things with the Sierra Leone colony. Okay, so it was not something that was came from Captain Paul Slocum. He was recruited into that. Now, I also presented his petition to Congress to get permission to sail to Sierra Leone in 1814. And remember, family, that petition was denied. Remember that? He could not go. It was denied. Reason being, what did the Congress say? Okay, here it is right here. Here it is right here. So I'm going to go over it again here real quick. Let's go over it real quick here. Again. Okay, right here. Blow it up. Paul Cuffe's bill. Okay. The House resolved itself into a committee of the whole. Mr. Breckinridge of Virginia in the chair on the bill from the Senate for authorizing the President of the United States to permit the departure of Paul Cuffe with a cargo to Sierra Leone, together with a report of the Committee of Commerce and Manufactures against the same. Now, remember, family, when it comes to the shipping industry, it's the same. It's the same today. If you're going into any foreign nation's territorial waters, you need permission. Not only that, the America will have to be in good standing with that nation's with those international waters where you intend to go into. If there's any kind of beef between both nations, you're not going to get permission to go. So you just can't willy-nilly go places on a ship and going into international waters. That could be a declaration of war if it's not agreed upon first, because ships will have the flag of the nation, will sell the flags of the nation it represents there. So we have to first understand that. Well, let's continue. This bill is predicated on the petition of Paul Cuffe. They call him an African by descent. That's what they call him, which our readers will doubtless recollect to have read in our paper some weeks ago. And its object is sufficiently explained by the title of the bill. This bill underwent a discussion of a very diffuse nature and of no little length, in the course of which the object of the bill was supported by Messrs. Wheaton, Governor Pickering, Taggart, Bayliss, Webster, Farrell, Duval, Shippard, and opposed by Newton, Wright, McKim, Kerr, Ingham, Fisk of Vermont, and Ingersoll. This bill was supported on the ground of the excellence and the general character of Mr. Cuffe. Okay, hold on, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Okay, now right here. So on the other hand, the bill was opposed on various grounds. Whilst the excellence of the general character of Mr. Cuffe was fully credited and generally admitted, it was said that the bill would violate, in favor of a foreign mission, that policy which we had refused to infringe for the sake even of our coasters and fishermen, that Mr. Cuffe might depart in neutral vessels with his companions, but that it would be improper to permit him to carry out a cargo, which was not at all necessary to his views of propagating the gospel. That his voyage would be contrary to the policy of existing laws, independent of the embargo policy, because Sierra Leone was a British settlement. Now, of course, a British settlement, who's founded and settled Sierra Leone, family? Brothers from where? Nova Scotia, which was part of what? Under that, what they call the British jurisdiction, which probably means that's where, at that particular time, Britain was located. And the other part we think is located was just part of the influence and like a colony influence of the Britain up in the Northeast, or England up in the Northeast. But it was settled and founded by brothers from Nova Scotia in 1786. Okay, let's continue. That as this was a British settlement and the possession of a nation claiming and asserted to be the bulwark of our religion, there was no occasion for cargoes departing from the United States to enable her to carry her views into effect. Intermingled in this debate was considerable controversy and something like asperity as to the character of the British nation for religion and humanity. Okay, now let's go down here to see the votes for yes and the votes for no, yay and nay. Okay. Okay, now look right here. Here's the votes. For the bill, 65 senators said yes. Against it, 72. What does it say? So the bill was rejected and the House adjourned. So on this particular occasion, 1814 in March, Captain Paul Slocum, aka Captain Paul Cuffe's petition was denied. So he could not go this particular time. So I presented this information, and I also presented information to where he, some of his business transactions, right, on one trip to Vienna. In Vienna, we're talking about Maryland, where he went to pick up cotton in Vienna, Maryland. And this was in the late 1780s, and he made $3,500 on that particular transaction. Okay, in the late 1700s. So go back to our calculator. $3,500, and it was in the 1780s, but let's just say 1790. Say 1790. Let's calculate that deal. All right, so that particular one transaction deal for Captain Paul Slocum, aka Captain Paul Cuffe, yielded him $116,000, $295.49. That's how much he made on that transaction in 1790. And then there was another transaction for like 4,000, and it would be more than this. Okay, that's just one transaction, family. How many people have this as a salary in a year in 2023? But we're talking about Captain Slocum in 1790. All right, so now let's take a deep dive into Captain Paul Slocum's life. Because if we do a simple search, Okay, so they get some stuff. Like here, Paul Cuffe, American ship owning merchant. Now, I don't know where they're getting this Pan-Africanist from, but yeah, so they say it was okay, businessman, whaler, abolitionist. Okay, one of the wealthiest people in the United States. Okay, so at least they're giving him a little bit of some props right there. Now, you remember, he's born 1759, right around there, okay? So, we're going to take a deep dive here, family. Let's first start off with let's go with the ships. It's not found. Let's go with the ships built and owned by the captain. And also, he had a brother-in-law named Michael Wainer. Okay, the Wainer family, illustrious Wainer family. And I'm going to share an article about the Wainer family. Some of you could be related. And here's an article here. History of the Wainer farm property in Westport, Massachusetts. That's Wampanoag territory, also up there. Okay, we see here he's a descendant here. He's at the Wayner Farm in 2022 last year. That's the Wayner Farm. Okay, and then history of the Wayner Farm property in Westport, Massachusetts. So it's a very famous family, right? But it's a very famous Wampanoag family, the Wayners, right? So that was Captain Paul Cuffe's brother-in-law, right? So let's go back to the list of the ships he built and owned, family. So let's blow it up here. Ships built and owned by Captain Paul Cuffe and often his brother-in-law Michael Wayner. 1778 through 1790, built small sailing boat with brother David. They say possibly a shallop. Now let's back up. So you got to give us some perspective. See, they don't give us the backstory, family. How he learned these merchant mariner skills. You don't just build a boat. That's something you have to be trained and taught. And you notice the interesting thing is, we know his father was very wealthy, major landlord. Usually these skills and these trades were passed down from father to son, etc. That's what they cut out. Because how did his father get all that money and all that land? And all of a sudden, Paul Cuffe is building boats and owning them. Where did he get that skill from? Where did he get that motivation to do that as a young boy? So wouldn't it be natural that he learned that from his own father, which it would explain why his father was so wealthy? But yet, because they slapped the slave curse on the father, you don't get the backstory on why and how Paul Cuffe learned these skills. All right, let's continue. 1784, trading on a 12-ton schooner bought with his brother-in-law, Michael Wayner. 1787, built a Sunfish 25-ton schooner. Both Captain Cuffe and his brother-in-law Wayner as owners. 1792, built the Mary, a 42-ton schooner, co-owner with his brother-in-law, Michael Wayner. 1795, he built the Ranger, 62-foot, square stern schooner. And then he sold the Mary that he built and the Sunfish. So he built the Ranger, 62 feet, square stern schooner, and sold these two that he owned before, most likely, of course, for a profit. 1801, he built the Hero, a 162-ton frigate owned by Isaac Corey Sr. and Jr., and Captain Paul Cuffe had a 25% interest of ownership as a co-owner. He owned 25% of it. 162-ton frigate. 1806, built the Alpha, 268-ton ship. Cuffe, 3/4 interest at 75%, with Lemuel Milk, who owned he owned the other 25%. 1806, 268-ton ship. 1807, built the Traveler, 109-ton frigate, Cuffe and Milk as owners. Then we get here, Michael Wayner, born 1748, captain. Of course, Captain Paul Cuffe, born 1759. They were captains. And this is Wayner's son, Michael Wayner's son, Thomas Wayner. And Thomas Wayner was trained by Cuffe and managing a lot of the ships owned by his uncle and his father, Michael. Okay, and then there's Paul Wayner. These are the sons. And then, of course, you got Paul Cuffe Jr. He learned the business as a mariner as well. William Cuffe, he was a crew member with his father. Okay, so this is a family tradition. all his family traditions. Okay, now these are the ships that he owned. Multiple ships he owned, sold, huge 260 plus ton schooner ships. Okay, now let's get into some of his voyages, family. I got a list of every voyage he made. All right. So now remember, when you're on these seas, you're gone for years. So what is this whole idea of these Pan Africans talking about? He was some religious zealot, um, and setting up over in Sierra Leone. Now, when we go over this journey, his voyages, we're going to see some of the voyages over there in Sierra Leone and what he was doing. Okay, but hold on. All right. Amen. So when you're a mariner and you're on on the seas, that's a lifetime. You spend a 30, 40, 50 years out there. Time will fly by because most of your life was spent out at sea. So Captain Paul Cuffe would have been today a billionaire, family, one of the wealthiest men in the world with what he accomplished. Let's go to his list of voyages. You know, we get real deep here. Okay, we get real deep here. Let's go here. Okay. Go here. Okay, these are the voyages. We got the categories: origin, the explanation, and destination. Okay. 1773. Where? Massachusetts, right where he lived. What was the purpose? On a whaling vessel, basically as a junior deck person on a whaling expedition. Where? In the West Indies. 1773. So if he's born 1759, he's 14 years old, family. Learning this skill at 14 years old. Now, based upon what my spider sense is telling me, his father was the owner of the ship. He's learning it from his father, just like he taught his son. Okay, so whaling expedition in the West Indies, 1775. Left right from home, Massachusetts, on another whaling vessel, where? To the Caribbean. So now this could have been, looks like it's for trading. So they were, part of their business was whaling and whale meat, whale oils, and they looked like they were selling that to different locations around the world. And so we have them, this was their product, whales. That's the product. And it looks like the buyer market in the West Indies here in 1775, the Caribbean, 1776. Now listen to this. On a whaling vessel, looked like it was captured and released, unknown destination. Going down here, 1778, 79. Westport, right where they live, that's Massachusetts. Built boat with brother David, several attempts to get to Nantucket, and finally succeeded. Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard. Now, Martha's Vineyard, of course, we know where that's located, right around Maryland, right around that area. But he was trying to get back to Nantucket, and he finally succeeded. And there's another unknown destination during that voyage. That's 1778, 1779. He's like 19, 20 years old at this time. Okay, 1783, left from home, Massachusetts. And they say Paul came in from whaling with Mr. Clark, 140 BBL going toward, okay, so that looked like that's might be the size of the product there. But they were going 12 to 13 weeks from Nantucket. So that's about 3+ months of a voyage away from home. But destination unknown. Okay. 1784, Westport, from home, trading on a 12-ton schooner, bought with brother-in-law Michael Wainer. We saw that on a list of the ships that he owned. And so this is when he moved up and, had his own ship there with his brother-in-law. And they went to the Connecticut coast, which is not too far from their location. 1784 to 1787, 3 years. Westport, Paul Cuffe and his brother-in-law, with a crew of 16 to 18. No, excuse me, on a 16 to 18-ton schooner. And off the Grand Banks off Newfoundland on codding runs. Cod, that's the fish. Okay, collecting that, I guess that was one of their products that they would use to sell. Also, in that same time range, 1784 to 1787, it says here, yes. So he started off as a mate, came back as a master, but was a master on return trip. Master means he's the captain of the ship. He's the big head honcho. So right around that period, okay, and he went to North Carolina. 1787 to 1795. Left Westport on that Sunfish ship that he owned, which we saw on the ships that he owned. Remember that Sunfish name, 25-ton schooner with his brother-in-law, Matt Wainer. They're both masters, both captains, cod fishing and trading with Newport Whaling off of Newfoundland. Okay? Nowhere in here is it talking about he's some religious zealot guy. Remember, this 1787 to 1795. Sierra Leone was already founded and established by the brothers from Nova Scotia. It had nothing to do with Captain Paul Cuffe. Remember, he was recruited later on for that. Let's continue. 1792, 1793, left from home on the Mary, another ship that he owned that we saw on the list. 42-ton schooner. Captain Cuffe and his brother-in-law, Wainer, take 7 whales, whaling off Newfoundland, Vienna, Maryland. So he whaled off Newfoundland, looked like he went to Vienna, Maryland to sell the product. Okay, now let's stop right here because I'm going to show the family this here. We also have this. Okay, we have this here. Just to give us a better, further perspective. I have a map of every place he went to. Right here. Okay. Now, let's go over to this side here. So we see here Westport. Okay, that's right where he's from. That Nantucket, Westport, right around here. Look at all these places: Nova Scotia, Pascomandy, New Brunswick, Grand Banks, Belle Isle, Newfoundland, up here, down here. Of course, Connecticut coast, New York, North Carolina, Savannah, Philadelphia, Wilmington, Virginia, New Orleans, Caribbean, West Indies, Santo Domingo, French Guadeloupe, way over here, Pacific Whaling Grounds, Cape Verde, Sierra Leone, up here, Portugal, Spain, that's the Iberian Peninsula, Liverpool, England, Le Havre, France, over here, Sweden, Denmark. These are the places he traveled during his life, family, on his ships. That's where he went. Let's get back to his voyages. Okay, let's go down further. 1796, Westport on a schooner Ranger. Remember, that's the Ranger he built. That I think was 100+ tons, and because he ended up selling the 2 ships before that. Remember that? Through Norfolk, sailed up the Nanticoke River, Western, allowed to unload and load Indian corn. Now remember, this was the business transaction that I showed where he made the $3,500 when he got the Indian corn in Vienna, which was in Maryland. And so this is further confirmation of that business transaction I showed everyone in my previous presentation. And we just did the calculator, and we see the value of that $3,500. That was a $116,000 deal. This one transaction he did here in 1796. 1798, left Westport, his home, with his now Thomas Weiner, that's his nephew, that's his brother-in-law's son. So he's learning the trade. Okay, up Brandywine River to Wilmington to the Passaconaway on the Ranger, Passaconaway, Maine. This is right not too far from where they live at, right? 1800, left home with his nephew. 3 coastal runs by August. Now, it's interesting. Now, on here, it looks like Thomas Weiner, Michael's son, became the master of the Ranger. He became the captain. He learned the skill. He became the captain. And then the owners, Captain Paul Cuffe and his brother-in-law, Thomas Weiner, they're the owners. So it looks like they didn't go on this venture, but they would benefit because they got Paul Cuffe's nephew and Michael's son manning the ship, doing the transactions, and then they'd get their cut as owners, of course. And that was destination Wilmington, Delaware, 1800. Also in 1800, with Cuffe's nephew Thomas, had a deal in New Brunswick. Also in 1800, it left Maine. Jeremiah Weiner, another son of Michael, he becomes the master of the Weiner. So 2 of Michael's sons, who are also Captain Paul Cuffe's nephews, now they're captains, manning ships that are owned by Paul Cuffe and his brother Michael. And that destination was Philadelphia. Continue still in 1800. They're busy. New Brunswick. So they got there his uncle, his nephew, handling the business in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware. And then here, the ship, the Hero, that's that big 268-ton one, that big one, and with Captain Paul Cuffe. So it looks like Cuffe had his nephew doing transactions on his other ship that he owned, while Paul Cuffe was on the Hero ship that he built. And it had him, his nephew, and the entry of Brandywine River in the fall. Isaac Torrey, that ship Hero was listed with Paul Cuffe as an owner and the registry in 1802, 1804, and 1806. Then the list goes on and on, family. Now I want to get to the part where, okay, here, this is when he went to Portugal, 1803. His ship went to Portugal. And also September of 1803 it went to Spain, Iberian Peninsula there. Okay. I'm going to get to the portion where we're dealing with Sierra Leone. It's something very interesting, family. Oh, look at this here. Check this out. June 9th, 1806. They left Westport. Hero re-rigged as a bark. Cuffe nephew Paul Weiner as mate and keeper of log, owned by Cuffe. Okay. And the other guy, Lemilk. This is a 258-ton vessel, the Hero, and Cape of Good Hope and on to Philadelphia. So circumnavigated and went around the Cape of Good Hope, which is right around south part of South Africa. His ship went around and came back to Philadelphia. Okay, so they're doing big things back in the day. But you notice the interesting thing, and they didn't go pick up any family members from Africa, huh? He had all these ships and didn't go back and bring his family members back home from Africa. Didn't happen, family. Yeah, 1806. Okay, Denmark, Sweden, St. Petersburg, Russia, and back to Philadelphia. Oh, it looked like so they went to pick up Swedish glass and iron. See, so he was a shipping mogul, business family. Why he became very wealthy. Okay. 1806. There was a horrendous storm off of Greenland, lost much of the iron and ship heavily damaged. They found out the British were seizing crews. So you had British pirates. So they crept southward past Nantucket, turned up the Delaware River toward Philadelphia, and arrived September 21st, 1807. Yeah, so they left Gothenburg, Sweden. It looked like they were had to, they were British pirates after them, or brutish pirates after them there. They got away that particular time. New York there, Wilmington, Delaware. Okay. And one of his nephews actually died at sea. One of them. South America, Pacific Whaling Grounds. We saw that on the map. That was in 1810. Okay, right here. So November 25th, 1810. Left Westport. The Brigadier Traveler, 69 ton. And it says crew, of course, all crew. They said the crew's all melanated. Cuffe's the owner. Thomas Wainer, they both owners. Now John Wainer and Michael Wainer, and the brother, all the Wainers there, through Philadelphia. Then on December 27th to Sierra Leone, across the Atlantic to the North African shipping lanes, because that was the route. They had to go through North Africa from America up the north, and they hit North Africa. Shipping lanes around the Cape, and that's when they went around the Cape. And on March 1st, Sierra Leone Road to New Orleans. Now, this is interesting. Remember this, family. Sierra Leone Road to New Orleans. Remember that. We're going to come back to that. Okay, now New Orleans arrived in Liverpool, July 11, 1811. Now look, May 10th, 1811, they leave Sierra Leone. Paul Cuffe is the master of the Traveler. And now listen to this: Aaron Richards, a young Sierra Leone apprentice to Cuffe. He was basically indented. He was an indentured servant to Cuffe. This dude from Sierra Leone. So wait a minute, family. Was Paul Cuffe using the Africans as labor? Let's think about that. Here's the man with the ships. He's in Sierra Leone. Here's one case, May 10th, 1811. He leaves Sierra Leone with someone he has as an indentured servant. Where did he take him to? Liverpool. Wait a minute. Paul Cuffe took an African to Liverpool, family, who was his bondage servant. Let's continue. 1811, New Orleans. See, Liverpool. Okay, 1812. This is some other dude out of Nantucket arrives. New Orleans. Let's continue. It gets deeper. Liverpool. Leave Liverpool September 20th. The Big Traveler. That's Cuffe's ship. So Liverpool to Sierra Leone. Captain Paul Cuffe is the master. Back to Sierra Leone from Liverpool. So he took his indentured servant from Sierra Leone to Liverpool, and he comes back to Sierra Leone. February 19th, 1812, Sierra Leone, Big Traveler, that's Cuffe's ship, to Sierra Leone with his nephew. Destination was Philadelphia, but after Bermuda, he continued northward, hired a craft off Block Island, went home on April 19th. Ship seized in Newport, Rhode Island. Cuffe obtained release from President Madison. So Cuffe's ship was seized with his nephew as the captain. Cuffe negotiated with the then President Madison in Washington, D.C., returned released ship, which went to New Bedford on May 15, 1812. What's going on here, family? We can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. Let's put these pieces together. Cuffe had all the ships. He's taking people from Sierra Leone to Liverpool, back to Sierra Leone. Tried to go to Philadelphia. We got New Orleans. We got ports of New Orleans with people in servitude going there. What was Paul Cuffe really doing? His ship gets seized. He negotiates with the president to get it released. It's 1812, family. Don't think we can handle the truth yet. Let's continue. December 8th, 1815, Westport, the big traveler, Cuffe is master. With what? Settlers. Where? Sierra Leone. Let's get deeper, family. I'm going to show you this right here. Go to this. This is allegedly something written by Mr. Cuffe, but we're just going to concern ourselves with the layout of the colony. Who was in the colony? Right here. The colony is now considerably increased and continues to be in a flourishing situation. The population at present, as taken by order of Governor Columbine in the fourth month, 1811, is as follows. These are the settlers by number. Europeans, 22 in this particular month. Nova Scotians, who originally founded the colony, 188. Look at this, family. Maroons, 165. Local Africans in the area, just 20 allowed to be in the colony. Let's go in this other month category. Europeans, 4. Nova Scotians, who originally founded the colony, 295. Maroons, 195. Local Africans in the area allowed to be in the colony, just 43. Another month column, Europeans, 2. Nova Scotians, nearly 500. Maroons, 447. Local Africans allowed to be in that colony of Sierra Leone, 37. This is 1811, family. This will give us a more detailed picture of what the colony looked like. Let's go back to the voyage list here. Okay. April 4th, 1816. They leave Sierra Leone, Cuffe. Destination, don't even list it. Don't know where he went. October 4th, 1816, Westport, 45-ton vessel, was put up for sale. He sold it. Okay. And this is something that Cuffe and Job Gifford built, this 45-ton vessel. 1816, Westport, brig traveler, put up for sale, but not sold. Okay. Early 1817. Now, 1817 is the year that Captain Paul Cuffe died, family. And they're saying that the big traveler master, probably Captain Alvin Phelps, Cuffe's son-in-law. Where'd they go? North Carolina and on to Santo Domingo. And of course, here, September 7th, 1817, Westport, Paul Cuffe dies in Westport. Ownership of travelers divided among his children. So, of course, they become very wealthy because they inherited their father's entire estate. Ships, land, money, etc., etc. This gives us a clearer picture of Captain Paul Slocum, aka Captain Paul Cuffe. Very different from the witches and warlocks these Afrocentrics paint us. He's a father of Pan-Africanism. He's bonding brothers in Sierra Leone to be his service and taking them to Liverpool and other places on his ships. Oh, that's what the Pan-Africans were doing? Yeah. Well, we know better there. So that's what I wanted to share there with the family. And I wanted to end it on this here quickly here. Shout outs to Ayers Johnson. She sent this information to me here. Just want to quickly share it with the family how, again, we showed the Edward Hatton, where his descendants presently trying to get back that family land there in Napa Valley, California. Ayers Johnson found this here, and this is very, very interesting. Okay, this is a land patent granted by Charles I, King of England, to Henry Frederick Howard, Lord Maltravers, for certain counties in Virginia. Okay, the Howard family. So many of you could be these descendants of the Howard family out of Virginia. You're heirs of major patented land in Virginia. Charles I, King of England, 1600 to 1649. January 22nd, 1638. Okay. This indenture made the 20th of January, Anno Domini, 1637, and in the 13th year of the reign of Charles I. We're going to get to this portion here, family, to show you something here. Okay. This is a land grant, patented land, right? So the Lord Howard, to transport at his own cost and charges, and to settle and plant divers inhabitants in the colony for advancement and general good of the plantation, have granted, allotted, assigned, and confirmed unto the said Henry Lord Howard and his heirs forever a certain territory and tract of land situated, lying and being in the southern side of James River, and a branch of the said river, being called and known by the Indian name of Nansemond River, hereafter to be called Matravers River, towards the head of the said Nansemond River, river being bound from that part of Nansemond River where it divides itself into branches, 1 degree longitude on either side of the river, and in latitude. Go to the next one. Let's see here. Okay, now right here, this portion here. Okay, so patent or order of court to have and to hold the above mentioned tract of land according to the limits and bounds thereof, as also all and singular the lands to be chosen, as foresaid, with their and every of their appurtenances, with all mines, as well royal mines of gold and silver, and other mines and minerals, woods, fishing, fowlings, huntings, waters, rivers, and all other profits and commodities and hereditaments whatsoever within the precincts of aforesaid territory. So this is the point here, family. This is what it's all about. It's only been about this. Remember, your genealogical records are more valuable than all the minerals in the world. Why is that? Because your name, your family name, are connected to these land titles in North America. the land of milk and honey, where every other foreigner wants to get to. It's always been this way. And when they took your names, they're able to tap in and benefit off your family estate and your minerals, right? And this has all been about this here, family. That's why they had to put you under a spell to get you to believe you're from somewhere else, that these names don't belong to you, that they gave them to you. Now, no one's going to give any stranger their family name because of what? Because it's connected to inheritance, estate, land titles. If you give that to a stranger who's from a foreign land and who had nothing, oh, he or she will love that, because what is going to happen? They're entitled to your estate. And the worst case scenario can happen if your blood children die off, and that stranger you gave your name to, they get everything. So no one does that. That's why they paid all of this money and finance to come up with this fiction, this out of Africa fiction, to disconnect you mentally. And they pay these agents to come in here to drill this and to get you back in that fiction under the spell, so you never know about this. That the land under your feet, your ancestors owned, that you are an heir. You're not supposed to know this, family. So again, as always, our mission and only mission and goal is to honor our ancestors by locating them, getting into your genealogy, and confirming whether or not your ancestors left you an inheritance. That's it. Okay? So I want to thank the family there for taking time out of your evening there. I wanted to bring some positive, valuable information to the table. A lot of times that's been missing, so, but I appreciate everyone there. And again, any of these records or information the family wants, reach out to me, and we can provide all of that there. Okay, I'll get back to you, Phyllis Brown. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you there. Have a great night. Now, I don't understand what you're writing there, DJ. Liverpool. Okay, we'll just read some of the comments there. We didn't partake. These slaves, face turquoise covered lines. Okay, I'm just reading some of the comments there. No problem there. Miss Michelle Marquis. Better late than never. Original Skywalker salute there. Honor to you, Sharon Walker. Okay. All right, great. All right, family. So great. Next time I'll try to maybe next week if I can find some time. We may get into another powerful bill. But again, it comes from the divine inspiration from the ancestors. So if I'm divinely inspired again the next few days, I'll prepare. We'll do it again soon. Okay. Have a great night, and talk to you soon. Bye.